break it back to Thanksgiving is those X-rays took place on Thanksgiving, so I had to come back from Portland to because my wife. This is my wife. She got this.
My wife.
Got this puppy. Oops, I'm gonna bleep out her name. My spouse got this puppy like as a puppy. They've had this dog for like 12 years, and this is like I am not kidding when I say my spouse loves this dog. I'm pretty sure I've.
Before we get to the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it to that uncle who's a communist. And if he isn't, he will be.
Don't forget to follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionary rhetoric. And Revolutionary Rhetoric is an affiliate of the Anti-Capitalist Podcast Network.
All right, let's get to the video.
Ooh, too good, too strong, too strong. Hello and welcome back.
Oh my God, I look like fucking Shrek. Look how green I am, bro. I don't know. You like it sets the mood, but at the same time, I feel like I'm slowly turning ill in a comedic, like cartoonish fashion. You know what I mean?
Does that make me donkey?
Donkey. No, it doesn't make you donkey. You look more like Stan from fucking South Park. Hey, your dog's coming in.
Oh my God, Charlie! God damn it! Episode 54. You keep going.
Episode 54. This is Charlie. Hey, what's up, Charlie? How you doing?
Charlie, come on, buddy. You can't do this. No dogs in the studio. Charlie,
yo!
He's gonna like shove himself into your lap.
This is the commie dog, dude.
Charlie.
This is the commie dog. Come on, Charlie. Come on. Come round, comrade Charlie, bro. Whew, he is stinky.
He's a bath. I don't know what that smell is.
That's Doritos. That's an old dog.
Yeah.
You know when he smell? You ever fucking smell the dog, like especially like the paws of a dog, and it just smells like corn chips, like Doritos.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. That's puppy paws, dude.
Oh yeah, I just
that's the good stuff. I'll have no, I mean Charlie is old. He's like a 11 or 12-year-old Rottweiler.
Yeah, man, that's pretty old for a
Yeah.
goddamn Rottweiler.
He's old. All
Anyways, guys,
episode 54.
Episode
Hello,
54.
welcome back. Again, we
How
took
are
another
you
week
doing?
off. We were gone for another week because of Thanksgiving. Dude, you keep going. I can't handle this.
Anyways, yeah, we're back. We had Thanksgiving vacation. We figured, who the fuck's gonna listen to us while eating their goddamn turkey? You know, we want to be with our family, and I'm sure you guys do as well. And so now we are back with another fine episode of Revolutionary Rhetoric Podcast. And my man is yet again wearing a bathrobe.
Dude.
Look like the was Scrooge or whatever.
Listen, it's Saturday. I went out for breakfast this morning with some friends. We had like a brunch thing.
In that, I assume?
No, in regular clothes. I got home and I just put on my comfies. That's me and my wife's. Like it's our we both rush to get in our comfies.
Yeah.
And then we just don't leave the house again.
I feel like it's like the 1950s.
Dude, I have chilled in this matching pajama set and this robe, and I'm wearing long johns under.
Oh my God! Look,
thermal underwear under this, and also a thermal underwear under this.
He is a grandfather already.
Cozy as a motherfucker, dude. I'm so cozy.
It's okay. You know what? I got a bunch of shit under this too.
Yeah, layers. It's cold in Seattle.
It's cold, my fat. It's
okay,
so much insulation.
I don't have much of that. But I have a decent amount of that now. But it's been cold in Seattle. It's been, I don't know, 30s.
It's chilly, 30s, 40s. It's kind of like freezing rain.
I'm a little desert boy, so I'm not used to this. It's been really rainy. Actually, it hasn't rained in a couple. No, that's not true. It rained all day today. Literally,
it's literally raining on the way here. I was I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Hydroplaning on the freeway.
That doesn't sound too bad.
You guys don't call it the 5 here, do you?
No.
You call it I-5?
Yeah, just I-5.
In Arizona, you call it the 10. It's the 10. You're gonna hop on the 10. It's I-10.
Yeah.
I learned that like early on.
It's just 2 letters. Like it's too wild. Like how do we shorten it more than just I-5?
The 5.
Yeah, but it's longer than I.
I guess, but I saw something. It was like that's how you can tell out of towners in Seattle is if they have an umbrella, and if they call it the 5, you can always tell it's like you're not like a native Seattle.
We don't have umbrellas here.
Yeah, Seattle people don't use umbrellas. I do because I'm a little desert boy and I don't like getting wet, but so I have umbrellas.
It rains so often here that you just get used to it and you just kind of like depressingly walk through the rain from your car to whatever inside area you're going. But also, I do have to say that when it does rain, it never really like pores.
You don't get wet, yeah.
It just kind of
It's just like a
sprinkles the whole
mist,
time.
yeah.
So you're just like, whatever. I'm just gonna get a little sprinkly, sprinkle. We sprinkle everything here: glitter, hormones in our water.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Just about everything.
Alex Jones was right. They're turning the frogs gay.
They're pitching in the water, and the fucking frogs gay.
Turning the frogs gay. I love. Oh, this is not what we had on our list of stuff to talk about. But did you see? Like, this is a couple weeks ago now.
Fuck
I think,
the list.
The Onion bought Infowars.
Dude, actually, that's a great thing to talk about.
Yeah. I don't know. This happened a week or two ago. A week ago, 2 weeks ago.
I am
maybe?
watching. I will be a dedicated watcher to that.
I'm gonna go get my subscription to Infowars now. Yeah.
Absolutely, that is brilliant.
That's so
A
good.
brilliant piece of strategic monetization of their future, because I honestly can see that expanding to like something SNL could be.
Yeah, like
right?
because like I don't know how that works. Like, do they get to keep any like existing subscribers or something? Because like
they do technically have all the emails from everybody.
Yeah, like their email
but
list.
Those people
and
are
all
not
their
going to
data.
watch.
Well, yeah, they won't. But I mean, some of them might just not cancel, right? Like, I've signed up for things and just forgotten to cancel.
Yeah.
So like maybe that's like not what they're banking on, but that's like an added bonus of like.
But it's got to be like a YouTube channel or whatever. Like post on YouTube.
Yeah, like if you have
and they can keep the name too. By the way.
Yeah, no, they bought Infowars as like a brand, as an entity, so it's still Infowars. It's just the Onions Infowars. So
and from what I understand, basically with their logo, all they're doing is they're changing the O to an onion.
That's funny. That's good.
So that's from what I've seen.
Good on them. All right, so we got some things to talk about. Oh, before we do that, I wanted to ask you, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you do anything for Thanksgiving? We haven't really spoken much since last week's episode, or the previous week's episode.
My Thanksgiving was all right. I worked Thanksgiving and the day after.
Oh, that's right. I remember that, yeah.
After work, I just went to my parents', set up a hookah, smoked some hookah, ate turkey, mashed potatoes, and my lady couldn't go because she, if you watched the previous episode, was burdened with E. coli, and so she was technically still positive. Yeah. Burdened
with E. coli.
She was technically still positive, and she technically is. It's like she can spread it, but it's like super hard. Yeah. And so she can't go, do her job. She can't really work her job like she used to because she works with kids, and the government literally won't let her. So she's been stuck at home, just like absolutely dying of boredom. But yeah, and so basically been dealing with that for most of the time, just working like crazy, and I had to go home with my lady after the Thanksgiving dinner quite shortly, so she wasn't alone for Thanksgiving, because who wants to be alone for Thanksgiving? I'm thankful that I was able to see her and my family, so it was nice. What about your Thanksgiving?
That's a much longer and sadder story.
My life is sad.
Yeah. Okay, so I went to Portland for Thanksgiving the day of. I took a train that morning to go
Ooh,
visit some old friends. I took a train to Portland a lot. It's the same travel time as driving, but it's like $30, give or take, $30-$40 for a train ticket to Portland.
Each way, or?
Yeah, each way. Mm-hmm. Which is like less what you spend on gas, because it's like a 3.5 hour drive.
But you don't have to fucking drive.
She'll drive. They have a cafe car. You can kind of cruise around, read a book, watch a movie, whatever. They got Wi-Fi. It's nice.
Read theory.
It's really comfortable seats. Like, they're not like a bus or a plane. It's actually kind of nice. I think, like, I'm all on board. I love
trains.
I'm a huge train guy. I'm a big proponent of trains.
Trains.
I'm a big train guy. So
I gotta cue it.
I like trains.
I went to Portland that morning. A good friend of mine lives in Portland. We grew up together in Arizona. He moved to Portland. I went to visit him. But around that time, that was Thursday, obviously, for Thanksgiving. Wednesday, we got bad news from our vet that our beagle might have cancer. The beagle upstairs, she'd been limping for like a week or so, like 2 weeks maybe. She'd been limping with the same arm, and it was getting worse, and so we didn't really do anything at first. We gave her a couple like dog ibuprofen, like some like pain reliever kind of things. It's just we checked her, like we thought maybe like one of her nails had like got an ingrown or something. And she's also like 12 years old, so we're like, it's probably like arthritis or hip dysplasia or whatever.
Yeah.
We didn't really think too much of it at first, but then the second week it got really bad, so she actually wasn't even walking on it. She was just like holding it up. So we're like, okay, favoring it. So we're like, okay, let's get her into the vet. We got her into the vet, x-rayed it. Turns out it was like there's like a tumor on her bone. There's like a so the vet was like, I think this is osteosarcoma, which is like a pretty aggressive cancer.
Bone cancer.
Bone cancer.
Yeah.
But he referred us to a radiologist because he's like, it could just be like an artifact or like a sunburst on the radiation or on the X-ray. Not really sure. He's not an expert. He's just a regular vet, like a general vet or whatever.
Vet,
And so he's like, let me send you to a radiologist. They'll look at it and they'll give you their opinion. The radiologist said, yeah, we're pretty sure this is osteosarcoma. You're going to want to come in and get chest X-rays to make sure that cancer hasn't metastasized from the limb to the lungs, which is where it goes.
Yeah, because at that point, you kind of just have to put it
at that
down.
point, there's no hope.
Yeah.
It hadn't. There is no cancer in her lungs or heart. Okay. So then they referred us to this like oncologist, a specialty place.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, if we cut off a leg, if you amputate the leg and give her some chemo, she should be fine. Okay, great. Now we have a plan. We take her to the oncologist. The oncologist looks at the x-rays and says, I don't think it's osteosarcoma. It's not cancer. Here's why. There's two bones in your leg. Here's your ulna and your radial.
Correct.
The tumor, the mass is on the ulna, and she's like, the ulna is not a weight-bearing bone. So if there's a lesion or a mass on that ulna, that wouldn't cause limping.
Yeah.
Because that's not what, you know what I mean? That's not the weight-bearing bone. So she's like, I'm not sure what this is, and also osteosarcoma in dogs doesn't usually present. It's really rare for it to present. It could be, she's like, it could be like a fungal growth. It could be like where we come from out in Arizona, where valley fever is really common. You guys don't have valley fever here.
Never even heard of it.
Most people haven't. Valley fever is really common in Arizona. It's like really thing you got to watch out for. It's a fungus that's in the dust in Arizona, and I think in like Texas, New Mexico, California too, Southern California. It's basically like a fungal infection you get in your and it's in the dust, and so dogs will breathe it in. It'll cause like really bad respiratory issues. It can present like really bad coughing, but it can also, it's like it's basically like if you've seen Last of Us, it's like a fungal growth that happens like in their bodies, and it kills them. It's like, it's basically, you can treat it, and I don't think it's curable though. I think it's like a chronic illness. So she's like,
even in humans?
No. It's humans can get it, I think, but it's a dog thing.
Okay.
So it's a dog thing in Arizona. Valley fever.
Everybody
in Arizona knows what valley fever is. If you're a pet owner in Arizona and you say valley fever, they can tell you what it is.
Correct.
But people in Washington haven't really heard of that. But you guys have your own shit here that's like raccoon shit has like these diseases, and like if a dog eats raccoon poop, that's like unique to this region. I found. So we had to get a vaccine. I forget what it's called, but we had to get a vaccine for
rabies?
that. No, it's something else. I digress.
Yeah.
Anyway. Long story short, the vet told us that it's probably not osteosarcoma. So now we're like, well, then what the hell is it? She's like, it could be something as simple as valley fever, which would be kind of the best case scenario, because then she just takes some medicine and you treat it. It's not the best possible. I mean, it's the best possible outcome for all of the things. On the worst possible outcome, it could be cancer somewhere else that has metastasized to her leg. So instead of leg not metastasizing to her heart, it could be in her spleen, could be in her kidney that has since metastasized to her leg, in which case would be.
Okay, can you not take tests for that to see?
We can. So the first thing is they drew some blood, and now they're checking they're doing a whole blood panel to find out if it's like the valley fever, which would be the best case scenario. So we're starting with that one. If it's valley fever, great. We treat that, because we had a pit bull in Arizona that died from valley fever eventually.
Wow.
We treated him for valley fever for years, and so like we've gone down that road before. So like that's of all of the possible outcomes, it's either pretty aggressive cancers where she'll need to be amputated and chemo, or valley fever, which is just like a simple medication a couple times a day, which isn't that expensive. So we're like, okay, well, hopefully it's that. That's the best outcome of all of the possible outcomes. So that was my thing. Oh, to break it back to Thanksgiving, is those X-rays took place on Thanksgiving, so I had to come back from Portland to because my wife. This is my wife. She got this.
My wife.
Got this puppy. Oops, I'm gonna bleep out her name. My spouse got this puppy like as a puppy. They've had this dog for like 12 years, and this is like I am not kidding when I say fuck. My spouse loves. This dog. I'm pretty sure I've said their name before on the podcast. Anyway, they love this dog more than me, and I've made peace with that. Like that's in our relationship, it goes this beagle, then me, then like the rest of our animals, and like I'm totally okay with that. So like,
oh my God, bro,
they've told me, my spouse has told me like I will go bankrupt before I let this dog die, and I'm like, okay. Now I know where I stand. So yeah, so that's where we're at. That was my Thanksgiving. So I didn't really have a great Thanksgiving. I had to rush home on the train. I
think yours is a bit more sad.
Yeah, it's fine. It's also a bummer because like I'll probably cut some of that story because I was talking for way too long. That was a long-winded story that took forever. But like I love Thanksgiving, not for like the actual like the holiday. Who gives a fuck about the holiday? But like I don't celebrate Christmas and I don't celebrate Easter. The only time I get together with my family is on Thanksgiving. That's the only holiday I care about. It's the only holiday I like. It's the only time I spend time with anybody is Thanksgiving. That is my holiday. It's the one day a year I look forward to all year. I didn't do anything on my birthday this year. I'm not doing anything on Christmas. It's Thanksgiving. And my Thanksgiving was ruined. So it's okay. 2024 has not been my year.
Death to America!
Yeah. That's it. That's what radicalized me is I lost my Thanksgiving 2024.
What radicalized you? Thanksgiving was ruined.
Thanksgiving was ruined 2024. Anyway, we got some stories to talk about. We got a few things to talk about. What we're going to talk about is the Brian Thompson assassination, obviously. We're going to talk about the South Korea failed coup a little bit. I don't actually, maybe not.
We don't,
maybe we can pause and read it. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to talk about, this is breaking news. The House passed yesterday, and this is going to be our first story. The House passed yesterday the CCTA bill, which is the Crucial Communism Teaching Act, I think is what it's called. Martha Salazar, a Florida congresswoman, sponsored a bill that made it through committee in the Education and Workforce Subcommittee in the House, which passed 33-9, I want to say, out of committee to move to a floor vote. Speaker Mike Johnson set it for a floor vote where it passed 340 or 300 something. I don't know the exact now, but it passed with overwhelming support in the House, and now it moves its way to the Senate, where I would assume it's going to pass because the bill itself is sponsored by Martha Salazar, which takes the crux of the bill is that the American school children are becoming too comfortable and too supportive of communism, so we have to teach the evils of communism in American public schools. The bill requires...
Gen Z's too radical.
Yeah. The bill requires an act of Congress, requires all public school teachers in America to teach about the evils of communism.
That's crazy.
Fucking insane.
Because we're getting like ideology involved in school. Isn't that not like against?
Isn't that their whole thing? Yeah, I don't know, but they have no ideology, so they have no consistency. So this is fine for them.
I'm genuinely confused.
Yeah, they cited that what is it? 1 in 5 millennials and 1 in 3 Gen Z are now view communism favorably over capitalism, and like they're getting scared, and so now like they're having to push back against that because like the younger generations are now having not quite more than half, but there's a like a growing number of young Americans are now viewing communism more favorably than capitalism, and it's kind of making the politicians a little nervous. So now they have to push back against that in by way of this bill. The kicker to all of this, the clincher is that this is basically the curriculum is going to be, and like the partner for this, like the sponsor, basically the lobby, I guess you want to call it, is the Victims of Communism Memorial Fund. So it's the victims of communism. They're the ones pushing this through, and they're the ones like working with mom.
The victims of communism.
Yeah.
So like my parents that got all their free health care.
Yeah.
From communism.
So, and if you know anything about the victims, it's an actual nonprofit. The Victims of Communism. They're on Twitter. They're always constantly talking shit about communism on Twitter. Basically, this is where like the 100 million dead statistic comes from, the little black book of communism. This all boils down to like where they count Nazi deaths as victims of communism. They count basically like everything they can count to like skew communism. It's an incredibly like disingenuous, like right-leaning, like hard right fascist organization. Notoriously disreputable, notoriously unreliable, and notoriously like corrupt and biased. And they're the ones who are going to be putting out the curriculum that teachers are going to be required to teach in schools, to all middle school and high school age school children in America. I cannot wait to get this curriculum. I'll definitely share it with you all once I get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So because I'm a history high school teacher, so like a high school history teacher, so like this is very relevant to me. I as far as I understand, I was reading the text of the bill actually before you showed up. I downloaded the .txt file of this actual bill, and I was reading through it. I didn't get to finish it. I think it said optional curriculum, so I think that like you don't have to use the Victims of Communism Memorial Fund curriculum, but you have to use some curriculum. They will supply some, but you can use your own if you prefer, which is usually how it goes. Like for these types of things,
But oh my God, you could so easily skew that to make it look favorable.
Yeah.
And then actually be like, no, I'm teaching people about communism. I'm teaching kids about
I already
communism.
teach about communism. Like I teach it like And I'll say, like, I'm pretty ethical when I do this. I teach it completely, like, neutrally, and I let the kids come to their own conclusions. Because if you just don't lie about communism, it's clearly the better choice. Like, if you present the facts of capitalism and you present the facts of communism and show them in a side-by-side comparison, every kid is going to be like, oh, yeah, no, obviously communism's way better than this. Like, this is a better system for everybody.
Plus, like, if you really think about it, like, you want to spew shit into kids' heads, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, all right, kids, we have to talk about this. We've been this has been established by the government that I have to tell you this. Yeah. The kids would be like, anything that you have to force kids to believe, they're gonna think the opposite.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is almost like you guys are idiots. Like, you have to make this more subtle.
Yeah, that's the whole funny thing about, like, the meme of, like, if I can indoctrinate your kids, I would get them to wear deodorant in my classroom. Like, if I had power over your kids, it wouldn't be to teach them communism. It would be to pick up after themselves and, like, stop, like, putting gum under the desk. Like, if I had that much influence, if I had as much influence over your kids as you think I did, I would get them to do much different shit. Like, wear deodorant. Like, that's where I would start. I wouldn't indoctrinate them into communism. So it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's silly. It's just silly, out of touch people that, like, think these evils of communism. It's a threat to their power base. It's a threat to their well-being. It's a threat to their way of life.
I think this is actually if anything, gonna flip on them.
I think so too. And I was thinking about this. I agree with you completely. I think if anything, this is gonna push people the other way. I think this is gonna, like, what I saw one take today on social media when I saw this thing,
propaganda,
which is like, it's working. Keep, guys, it's working. Keep doing what you're doing, because, like, they're getting scared and, like, they're pushing these bills through to, like, stop it. That's how you know you're winning. Like, that's how you know you're on the right track.
Because you have to understand, like, there's a certain point where I remember my own mother telling me this. If she's watching, hi mom.
Hi Kanan's mom.
she told me, she's like, when you're talking to your, like, dad's friends or this or that, to these older people's, like, don't even try to convince them. Don't even try to convince them, because these people are just so not open-minded in general. Like, these older people, they're not open-minded, and you're wasting your breath. Like, you need to teach people that are young and that are willing to learn something, you know? And I'm like, that is the kids. So, like, if you really, like, if we're going to have a quote unquote communist revolution of some sort, we're going to have to, like, slowly and I guess indoctrinate younger kids from an earlier age about, like, the reality of what communism actually is.
Yeah, but that was my point earlier. You don't have to, like, indoctrinate them or brainwash them. You just have to not lie.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
If you tell them the truth, they choose communism. And so, like, I think what the problem with American schools is that most people are guilty of this. The school system is certainly guilty of this, which is 70 plus years of, like, anti-Soviet, anti-communist propaganda has just been force-fed to them, that they don't actually know what communism is, and they certainly don't know what capitalism is.
Correct.
And, like, if you just neutrally present those two ideas, like, by their definition, and, like, this is what they are in practice, this is how they operate, this is what they do, this is the pros and cons of each, and you just lay that out in a neutral, like, unbiased tone, kids by and large will say, yeah, communism is the way to go. That's the much fair. It's a no-brainer. Like, and this is, I was talking to another guy earlier about this, and it's like, yeah, if you debate anyone, if you have any semblance of, like, understanding of capitalism and communism, and you're pro-communism, and you debate somebody who's pro-capitalist or anti-communist, like, it's very easy to, like, win an argument, because, like, your ideology just doesn't really have a leg to stand on. It's just, like, it's very shaky, because it doesn't stand up to, like, most tests of, like, logic. It doesn't stand up to, like, because it's capitalism is counterintuitive, and, like, capitalism is, like, illogical just on its surface of, like, it's a very counterintuitive and illogical, like, ideology. It promotes competition and individualism in a species that strives and desires, like, communal, like, community, and, like, it's just, like, it goes against our natural instincts, and, like, in every basic way. And so, like, it's, I don't know, I kind of lost the thread there, but you see my point is that, like, capitalism is basically, like, just the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing as, like, per evolution. And
correct.
It's
per morality, really.
Yeah, morality, evolutionarily,
but that's the jux of, like, I think what you're trying to get to. And what I'm trying to get to is, like, what I mean by indoctrination, I'm just mean, like, basically teach them what communism is from a non-biased perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I do.
Yeah.
A couple times a year, I get to touch on it. We deal with revolutions early in the school year, and I talk a little bit about Russian Revolution. It's mostly about like French and Haitian and the the Atlantic revolutions of like the 1700s and early 1800s. But I slip a little Russian Revolution in there, and then again toward the end of the year, we deal with modern wars. We deal with World War I and World War II, where we try to talk about, and Cold War, where obviously it comes a lot more full circle, and that's where really when I get into kind of the ideology of Marxism and communism, because we're talking about the Cold War, and I just present it like I would any other lesson of like unbiased as unbiased as one can be.
Yeah,
and like
Well, it's like if you really think about it, if we're gonna go based off like moral sense, right? A lot of people's like, oh, or like if you're an atheist, for example, they say no, if you don't really have a set base of morality, if you don't have a religious book or a text, but then you look at the religious books and texts, and you're like, dude, fucking Jesus was a goddamn commie.
Yeah.
Fucking long-haired goddamn hippie.
Long hair.
Fucking feeding people, helping people with for altruistic reasons.
Yeah, I saw this.
There's no profit involved, and I'm just like, and so it's like, it's so obvious to people once they're a little bit more open-minded that like when a lot of these capitalistic ventures, a lot of these capitalistic organizations also happen to be religious movements, like the Republicans in general, conservatives use church and government and blah, blah, blah. But when somebody puts two and two together, be like, but what you're saying, what Jesus is saying is not what you're saying.
Yeah.
These two things you're saying an oxymoron. You're telling me these people are evil, but then Jesus was doing what these people were doing.
Yeah.
So which is it? And then things kind of click. You're like, I'm being scammed.
Yeah. It's the scam of it, and that's kind of comes back to the text of that bill. To bring us back to that bill is like it says something like I forget how it's phrased exactly, but it's like to realign our youth to the to like American ideals of freedom and democracy.
Yeah.
And it's like because communism is antithetical to American ideals and freedom and democracy, and like I would really push back against that of like communism, or I guess I wouldn't push back against that. Like I mentioned earlier, communism is antithetical to the American ideals because American ideals are slavery and racism and genocide and sexism and like ethnic cleansing. And so like, and communism fights all of those things. So yes, communism is the opposite of American ideals, or does stand in the face of American ideals, and that's a good thing. And like, that's a good thing.
It's time American ideals have changed.
And this idea of like communism or American capitalism represents freedom and democracy, while communism represents, the opposite of freedom and the opposite of democracy. Again, I push back against that of saying like the example we spoke about earlier off camera was like Cuba, where Cuba has more technological and medical innovation and breakthroughs than most Western countries.
Yeah.
While simultaneously having more universal voter registration at birth. The voting age is 16. They have like almost universal voter turnout, where like 100% of the Cuban population of voting age votes. They have, I think, if not the highest, one of the highest percentage of women in political representation in Cuba. Like Cuba is like the model for democracy and also technical innovation and technological like advancement. So like this argument that both capitalism represents democracy is not untrue. In fact, I would argue it's the opposite. We have the least democratic system with the Electoral College, candidates that are bought and paid for, this two-party like oligarchy class, while simultaneously this argument that capitalism breeds innovation. Again, capitalism destroys innovation. Capitalism puts down any kind of competition. The end goal is monopolies under capitalism, which reduces all innovation.
Correct.
So like, no, you're wrong. You don't understand capitalism when you say these things. And
there's always those people like, no.
That's crony capitalism,
yeah, that's
bro.
That's
corporatism.
That's corporatism.
It's like,
I'm
dude,
like, if
that's
you put
capitalism.
that is the quintessential. It's like, I believe in small market capitalism where like there's all small owners.
Cool.
I'm
so
like,
China.
Restart the capitalist system, right? It's all small owners of mom and pop shops.
Right.
Fucking fast forward that simulation to 50 years later.
Yeah.
50 years later.
Sure. Actually, that's a good point. Not even 150
suddenly you
years.
have fucking monopolies again.
Yeah.
You know why? Because
it's the natural progression of capitalism.
Exactly.
It's that's what it's designed to do. It eats itself. It's a what was the best metaphor I ever heard for this was like capitalism is a machine that turns people into paste to lubricate the machine to turn more people into paste, and like that is the goal of capitalism.
Well, it's like Karl Marx points out an oxymoron that is capitalism, and he explains this by talking about basically automation with machines.
Yeah.
And he goes, there will be one day where machines will take over the labor's spot. And there's two ways this can go. Under a capitalist system, those machines will do the vast majority, if not all, of the labor. When that happens, nobody will have a job, right? So if nobody has a job, how are they going to buy your fucking product that you're making?
Yeah.
It's like you have to be able to have money to buy a product, and if nobody has a job because all the machines are working, who's going to buy your product? It's an oxymoron of capitalism. Is like they want to make this maximum profit, but then nobody can buy what they're selling, and then they fall apart. That
goes back to what I was saying. Capitalism is illogical and counterintuitive.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't work. It's failed every time it's been tried. It's good on theory. All the things they say about communism, all of the cliches about communism, it's failed every time it's tried. It's good on paper, but in practice it falls apart. It doesn't work because of people's greed. You're describing capitalism. That's just capitalism. Capitalism has failed every time it's tried. Capitalism will always fail because it's how it is designed. And also, freedom and democracy does not flourish under capitalism. Those are the pinnacles of communism. Freedom and democracy is represented through communism, not capitalism. It's just you have been brainwashed by 70 years of anti-communist propaganda to not understand what communism, nor do you understand what capitalism is.
Nor do you understand what democracy
is. And nor do you understand what freedom or democracy is.
Yeah, because they'll point out, like, America's a democracy. I'm like, no, we're not. I'm like, we are a republic. I'm like,
we're representative.
We're a representative democracy.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you elect a representative to represent you, right? I'm like, okay, but then how does that representative get in office? It costs money to get in office. So either you're a nepo baby who has money to get to buy your own way into office. Yeah. But if you're a nepo baby that has that much money, you already have this biased mindset of how to get there.
I don't even think that's really true anymore. I don't even think like legacy candidates
or somebody has a sponsor for you, and then you're a stooge for what they want to pay.
APAC, oil lobby, gun lobby, whatever.
But here's the thing. When I was talking about that nepo baby, the nepo baby are just the babies of the people that are paying the other people.
Supplied by oil and guns and
So
tobacco.
it's that oil executive's son that wants to run in politics. So he's either going to send his son to run the politics to put the same exact fucking things into through Congress, or he's going to pay this guy to do it for him, right? So it's the same people. So it's like it's not really democracy when the only people that can be elected are the people that have the money, right? Yeah. And it's been proven. Yet, time and time again, the only way to get elected is like the more money that you put into your campaign, on average, for the mass majority of time, you will get elected.
Yeah, what's that stat? Always. Like, there's a stat that's like from the moment a congressman is sworn in, he has to raise like $10,000 a day. Yeah. From the day he's sworn in until like the day he gets reelected, you have to start raising like $10,000 a day, or was it $55,000 a day or $20,000? I forget the number, but it was like from the moment you're sworn in, you have to be dialing for dollars, and you have to be hosting fundraisers, and you have to be making deals with like lobbyists, and like because that's the game. That is American politics. Is just who can raise the most money. Whoever raises the most money, whoever promises the most to like healthcare or oil or gun lobby or whatever, they're the people that get elected. Yeah. And that's not democracy. And that doesn't exist under communism. So anyway, moral of the story is communism rules, capitalism drools. I don't know. That's all we can say about that. Next story.
Okay.
The Brian Thompson thing. We got to get this is the big news of the week. CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, gunned down in the street like the dog he is.
If you haven't heard this, you're living under a goddamn rock.
This is literally all. This is my entire feed is just nothing but Brian Thompson 24/7. It's all over the news. It's like the biggest manhunt in a long time for this guy, and they're never going to catch this guy.
I hope to God not.
If you don't know, on Wednesday evening, sometime at night on Wednesday in Manhattan, not far from where my niece lived, actually. Fun fact, my niece lives pretty close to the hostel this guy stayed at, I guess like a block over or something. This unknown gunman walks up to Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, which is one of the largest healthcare it is the largest healthcare company. It's also the 4th largest company in the country, but just behind Apple. So
Holy
like,
shit.
it's not just a big healthcare company. This is like top 5 corporation in America. This is
Yeah.
a massive entity, and I'll talk about why later and why that's a problem later. But for the story itself, a masked gunman walks up behind Brian Thompson and puts 3 rounds, I think it's 3 rounds in his back. Just walks up cool as a cucumber, pulls out a pistol or has a pistol in his hand, suppressed 9mm pistol, shoots, clears a jam, shoots, clears a jam, shoots, walks away. I think he fired 3 times. I know he fired 3 times. And it's interesting that he had to clear the jam each time, and this is kind of like where like the gun people have like kind of really taken to this, is because he was firing a silenced pistol, a suppressed pistol, with subsonic ammunition, which, long story short, if you shoot regular ammunition out of a suppressed pistol, it doesn't really do anything. It's still super loud because the speed of sound, the bullet breaking the sound barrier, makes a very loud crack, and that's what you hear when a gun goes off. That report that you hear is a crack from the speed of sound breaking. Sound barrier breaking. So that's suppressors in movies give kind of this like this idea that you can just screw a silencer on any gun and it's just
we shoot through a pillow.
It's just little pew pew. Yeah, that's not how it works. Like, bullets are incredibly fucking loud. Guns are incredibly loud. The exception to that rule is that if you find subsonic ammo, which not every caliber of weapon can be subsonic, but some can, and 9mm can. If you find subsonic ammo, it doesn't break the sound barrier. However, it doesn't have a lot of force behind that projectile to cycle the pistol. And so, like, if you know anything about like blowback, like operated, like how pistols work, I'm not going to go into that, but like regular ammo will just cycle the pistol. Like when you rack a slide on a pistol, the force of a bullet firing racks that automatically. It ejects the spent casing and it pulls the next round and seats it into the chamber the next time. So that's how you just can continually fire a semi-automatic pistol. If you're shooting subsonic ammo, sometimes what can happen is it doesn't generate enough force to cycle that weapon. So you have to kind of fire, manually eject it, like slap it forward, seat a new round, fire manually. And so that's what he did.
Almost like it's like a single barrel,
like a single shot pistol,
a single shot, like what are those, like the World War II ones where you like
a bolt action, yeah, and you, like, basically, yeah.
I don't know that much of guns. To be
I have a
with you.
single shot, 20 gauge shotgun in there, which is basically it's just like you just fire one, cock it, fire. It's a break action. It shoots out the casing. You put another 12. It doesn't matter. The point is that only is relevant for a couple of reasons. One is that this guy walked up expecting it to happen, as if he had trained for it to happen, and did not hesitate whatsoever. Knew it was going to happen, knew his firearm very well, and then got off 3 clean shots very quickly. So, like, all that really says is that this guy was prepared for it and had trained for it in some way, or was very comfortable with shooting suppressed subsonic ammo. So, like, he was just comfortable with his weapon. Like, he did not, if you get a jam, it's like it's not always easy to clear a jam, especially if you're under high stress situation. Like, that's kind of like people train with dummy rounds in your magazine when you, like, if you're like into sport shooting, or like if you're into target shooting, and you're kind of in this world like I am, like, you will put like dummy rounds sometimes in your magazine so that it simulates malfunctions. And so, like, when you're running drills, or you're running a course, or you're running drills, and you're pew-pewing along, you'll get a malfunction, and you can force yourself to simulate, and so you can train for that, and so you can get prepared and comfortable with, like, clearing a weapon. Like, clearing a malfunction is is an important part of running a gun, and this guy was just ready for it. So, like, that just tells me that, like, he definitely knew what he was doing. I don't know if he's like some professional hitman that, like, some of the news people are saying, like, this was like, an international assassin or whatever. I don't know if it's that deep, but he definitely knew his way around a firearm, more so than, like, most people, the average Joe.
I still think it'd be a lot cooler if he was an international assassin.
I think so too.
So, like, I'm kind of like sitting here because I know a lot of people online are, condoning or condemning, or I just want to say that we obviously don't condone assassinations of humans
in general,
right?
However,
we're not for 100% violence and ending people's lives and stuff like that. We just want to point that out. However, the fact that this guy got assassinated, I don't give 2 fucks.
Yeah, that's a good thing. This guy was an absolute piece of shit.
He was an absolute piece of shit.
This guy was a mass murderer. I mean, this guy, I can say this without hyperbole, without like exaggeration. This guy caused the deaths of like, if not tens of thousands, like hundreds of thousands of Americans over the since
if not even the deaths, he caused so many people to go
pain and
bankrupt.
suffering, bankrupt. Like this guy is absolutely a piece of shit. But more than that, not more than that. That's the worst. But like similar to that, he was like also like a complete and like 100% corrupt fraud, guilty of like a whole bunch of like white collar crimes. This guy was awful. And here's the kind of the deeper story of this United Healthcare. I'm going to take you on a little journey here. I don't have the full information on how it started, but it involved being hacked and like ransomwared for their like patient data, and that they paid a hacker group, which I believe that's how it started. But anyway, something happened where there was a data breach at United Healthcare, or like one of their subsidiaries or one of their smaller companies, which caused them to not be able to like pay out or like work with local doctors' offices, which like if you have like your local clinic or your local doctor's office, whatever, which is oftentimes private, your little mom and pop doctor's offices.
Yeah.
Or even not even mom and pop, but like little doctor's offices, if they don't get reimbursed or paid back by health insurance, which is how that system works, then that's where they get their money from, right? Like that's how it works is everyone has health insurance. You pay into a pool of health insurance. You get sick, you go to the doctor. The doctor sends you a bill for like 20% of your overall bill. So you pay $100,000, you pay $5,000 if you have really good insurance. Well, then the insurance company forks over the remaining $95K. That's how it works. So the doctor's office relies on those checks from insurance companies to stay in business, to pay for their staff, to pay for their radiology departments, whatever, right? United Healthcare was notorious for not paying the doctor's offices, to like holding out and not paying them, so much so that some of them were like going bankrupt or going to lose or have to close their doors. So then what United Healthcare did was, to float those doctor's offices, they turned around and they offered them loans with interest rates to keep their doctor's offices open. So United Healthcare,
but if they have money to give them loans with interest rates, why don't they just send them money?
Because if you can just give money you owe, wouldn't it be better to give money that you could get back if you're a crooked business, right? If you're a shady business, like that's what they did.
That's like
I know, I get it. It doesn't make any sense, but capitalism is illogical. So that's what they did. And so then when some of these businesses either couldn't pay or their companies were devalued or for a number of reasons, United Healthcare would then go in and buy up these doctors' offices. So now it's reported that 1 in 10 doctors in America are like work for United Healthcare or are owned by United Healthcare or are in some way under an umbrella of United Healthcare. It's like an astonishing number of physicians, more so than any other insurance company. Also, United Healthcare has more claim denials than like any other healthcare company, like combined. Like United Healthcare was notorious. They apparently used AI to generate claim denials that was a faulty AI, and it wasn't like reading in like inputs correctly, and it would just deny, regardless of whether or not they should have been approved. Like if it wasn't out of scope, it wasn't a pre-existing condition or whatever, they would just deny them. So like United Healthcare was a total piece of shit company. This guy absolutely deserved to get murked. 100%.
I love that they're my fucking health insurance company.
That's your health. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, which I mean, no health insurance company is good, but these guys were awful.
Jesus Christ.
So then they get investigated by the Department of Justice for antitrust stuff, for like a bunch of other shady shit they're getting invested from, right? Well, the executives at United Healthcare dump all of their stock. The report by the DOJ is going to come out. The value of United Healthcare stock is going to plummet. So these are the CEOs and the executives of United Healthcare. They dump all of their stock. They sell all of their stock, I think like the day before the report gets released, and the company gets devalued by like $30 billion or something. So now they're guilty of insider trading. So that's illegal. That's an SEC crime, right?
Holy
you can't just
shit.
So,
this is so much deeper than
so
I
then
thought.
now there's another insider trading class action lawsuit against him and a couple of the other people. So he's being investigated by the DOJ.
Dude, Pelosi, bro. Pelosi.
Yeah.
We gotta look into it.
I don't know.
We gotta look into it, bro.
So I don't know. So you ask the question, so what? What does this have to do with this assassination? I don't know. I don't know if this is relevant. I don't know if this is related. But all I can tell you is the guy was under investigation by the DOJ. He had a class action lawsuit that's actually still going forward, by the way. The lawsuit isn't stopping just because he's dead. There's still other like executives named. So we'll have to see how that goes out. And then also the DOJ investigation is still going forward, even though he's dead, for all of the fraud and antitrust stuff. So like this guy is being sued for insider trading. He's being investigated by the DOJ. There's millions of Americans who have been denied claims by United Healthcare. So like there is no shortage of people that want this guy dead or wanted this guy dead. So like who the killer is, who fucking knows? It could be anybody. Throw a dart in a city and like you're going to hit somebody who was fucked over by United Healthcare.
The killer is everybody.
and you're
And
seeing
nobody.
that, and all of the memes of like, if you saw the United Healthcare killer, you
didn't.
fucking didn't. Did you see today in Washington Square Park in New York, they had a lookalike
Yes,
contest
I
for
saw
the killer
that.
dude? And like, I'm seeing like suburban moms on Facebook show solidarity for this
my
guy
God.
and like show support for this guy.
Yeah,
like,
there was some post. I remember there's some post. I forgot whose video I was watching. I think this was Kyle Kalinski's because it was just like the very first one to come out, and he said he saw a post on Facebook where there was like over 60,000 impressions, and 50,000 of those impressions
were like
laughing
the
emojis.
laughing emojis. Yeah,
And-
United Healthcare posted like a condolence thing, and it got ratioed so hard by the laughing emoji they took the post down.
That's what that's talking about. Yeah. Oh my
They took that post
God.
down because it was like laughing emoji by like 80% or 60% or whatever.
It's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
This
people
is,
are
like, one of the most
overwhelmingly in
united
support.
thing.
This is what, and like people, I forget what account it was. One of the bigger accounts were saying like, this is class solidarity and this is class consolidation. Is you're seeing like Tim Walsh, who's from this guy Brian Thompson, the CEO. He was 50 years old. He's from Minnesota. He's like a Minnesotan. The United Healthcare is a Minnesota company. He was in New York for like a shareholder meeting, I believe. And so like Tim Walsh is a Minnesota governor. Come out, this is a heinous crime. We got, this is unacceptable. Political violence or violence is never acceptable. Klobuchar, Senator Amy Klobuchar, came out in strong support, and so you're seeing all of these like the working class is being consolidated around one end of the spectrum, and then the
I've
elite
never seen
and the
so many people happy
bourgeoisie
over somebody's
class
fucking death.
is consolidating. And like this is what class consolidation looks like, and it's just really heartwarming to see. Like, oh, okay, cool, and like you're just seeing just overwhelming support for this guy's murder, and it's like you don't want to, like, if you fucked up when you're like the world is in support of your murder. Like you did not live a life that was like
like
that you can be proud of.
Listen, it's like obviously, yes, we are radical, yes, we want justice, even if if it's violent justice. But we're not being like, if I could press this button and have like 25 CEOs die, I wouldn't press the button, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have some moral sense. You have to have like some fucking empathy and feeling. And my girlfriend, my fiance, she was like, well, I'm like, she feels bad because he has a wife, he has kids.
Yeah, he has 2 kids and a wife. Yeah,
I'm like, all right, so did Mussolini.
So
did Hitler.
do all of the people he's denied for like treatment.
Yeah,
so
I'm
like,
I
don't care.
Again, it's just karma.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it's just karma. Yeah, I feel bad for the kids. They had nothing to do with it, but it also was just like, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
The dude was a piece of human garbage.
He was an absolute
If Hitler
piece of
had
shit.
kids, I want somebody to fucking murk that guy too.
I mean, Hitler had a wife. But I don't feel bad for Ava.
Oh, but and
Yeah.
God, what was I gonna say? Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I don't really have anything more to say about that. The manhunt's underway.
Oh, I did. Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
I it came back to me. Ben Shapiro's video
Oh my God.
came out in support
Ben Shapipi Poo Poo.
of Ben Shapoo. Ben
Shapipi Poo Poo. Yeah, that's what my wife calls him.
Oh my God.
Ben Shapipi Poo Poo.
Ben Shapipi Poo Poo came out with the video.
Yeah.
In support of like of the CEO and like this is
Sure.
heinous. This
Yeah,
is
of course.
disgusting. Blah blah blah. And the
Little
amount of
cuck.
comments from the conservatives.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm like, I finally realized, how manipulative you are. Like people that were listening to him, his
Yeah.
own fans were turning on him.
Yeah.
His own fans. And I'm like, oh my
Conservatives
God, what
don't
is
like
going on?
socialized healthcare, but they don't like healthcare either. They don't like
They like
privatized
socialized
healthcare.
healthcare, but they just don't know what it is.
Yeah, they just. I mean, they
It's
don't like
demonized
privatized
for
healthcare.
them.
Everyone hates the healthcare industry. No one likes paying $800 a month for
If
health
you
insurance.
explain to somebody what universal healthcare is,
Yeah.
guaranteed healthcare is, to a conservative, to whoever, and you explain to them
Yeah.
what it was without saying it was
love
socialized
it, yeah.
healthcare, they're like, that sounds
sounds
great. That's
great.
a great idea.
Yeah.
And be like, that's communism. They're like, God damn it.
God damn it. Yeah. It's what? Well, who was it? Was it Bernie Sanders or was it in the West Wing? Sometimes I get them confused because they had similar ideologies where it's just like you just want to like basically just Medicare and Medicaid just lower the age, just remove the
Yes,
age, remove
Bernie
the age
Sanders.
requirement. Yeah, it's like remove the age requirement for Medicare.
Yeah, he said
Just
put it
have
to
a public option.
55,
Yeah, just
45.
remove the cap. Just remove
Yeah.
the age limit and just have a public option. You can still keep your private healthcare if you really want to spend $800 a month at United Healthcare. Do so.
Yeah.
But if you can't, have a public option, and I think that's fine. I don't think that there. I mean, I don't think that's fine. I think it should go further than that. I don't think there should be any private healthcares, but I don't think there should be any private companies. Period. Because I'm an authoritarian Marxist. So like, I think you should nationalize all industries, but that's a separate conversation. Anyway, that's the story of Brian Thompson. May he rest in piss. I don't know. There's nothing really to say about that. I will say that
he's watching us from below.
I forget how many murders of like black men and like women have been raped and sexually assaulted in New York that they didn't, that the NYPD didn't do a massive manhunt and break out helicopters for. So it's like, okay, now we know where their priorities lie.
I was with one of my best friends last night, and he made a great point. Because he's not very political, but whenever I do get with him, we talk about politics a bit. I like to pick his brain. And he's like, you can tell how much they value the CEO's life over other people. Because like, why is this not all over the nose when some regular person gets shot and murdered? But when a CEO gets shot and murdered, suddenly he's more important.
Because it's a threat to their way of life. It's the same reason
why
the
is
Communist
his
Bill
life
passed.
more important than somebody who got murdered by a police officer?
It's a threat to their bottom line. It shows that they're not above, like a bullet. It doesn't matter if you're the wealthiest person or the poorest person. A bullet is a bullet, and like that's an equalizer, and that shows that anyone has the power to just take anybody out, and that's scary to them.
One of my good friends back in like early college, late high school, found sorry, he didn't find himself. Jesus Christ. In his just right outside his apartment complex, there was a dead body found.
Yeah, I
didn't hear anything about it on the news.
Fuck. My spouse found a dead body not that long ago. I think they found 2 dead bodies in Phoenix. Like they walking downtown Phoenix, find a dead body, call the police, hang out for 20 minutes, cops show up, take it from there, move on.
Yeah, but that's not if that person.
Well, that was
murdered.
the thing. Remember what's her face? The Florida girl who was murdered. That there was that nationwide manhunt for her boyfriend. It was the whole thing. It was like all the big news like a year or 2 ago. It was a pretty white girl was killed, and it was just this huge. It was like this international sensation. It was like all over the news. It was like the biggest deal ever. It was they had to find. I'm blanking on her name. I'll think about it later. And so like while they were combing these like national parks and forests and stuff, they were just finding bodies everywhere, and it just like it was like it just went to show you like how many murders go unsolved and how many people are killed and how many bodies go missing and like aren't found. And I think what was the stat? Only 3% of all felonies are solved or completed. Yeah, only 3% of crimes are solved or resolved in any way. And it's like police. And this is a separate conversation, but like police are just by and large useless and like don't actually do anything. They account for like 80% of a city's budget, but only like solve 3% of crime. So it's like it's just complete disparity in like funds versus like actual like return of investment. So if you are like a businessman or a capitalist, police is a terrible investment because they actually don't do anything, yet they are just a sink for money. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about the Brian Thompson story. I guess we'll keep an eye on that. Good luck to the killer out there. I guess there is the short thing to add is that the NYPD was super shady about this. They released, by all accounts, a fake photo.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then they just retracted today that they just admitted today that it's not.
That is a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Like they fucking just posted a photo of some random guy that's like, everyone was like, his jacket's different, the backpack's a different color, it's like a different face mask thing, and it's like, this is clearly not the same guy. The guy
literally said he's gotten death threats and shit like that. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, dude, please say it's me because I'm about to be out of debt. Like
this guy killed the guy. He went to a Starbucks beforehand. He was seen on like security cameras at a Starbucks, seen on security cameras on his bicycle, seen on security cameras shooting the guy. And then the NYPD releases. So we have like this guy's full gear.
Unprofessional is.
It's just like
this $1 billion police.
Like what was the stat? It's like the 4th largest army in the world. The New York Police Department released this fake photo. It was a different guy, and like the backpack's a different color. Like I said, the jacket's
hey, like let's pass this through, see what other people think in the department.
Everybody was like, "That's not the same guy," and they just now 3 days later admitted, "Okay, fine."
I remember seeing a post on Twitter. Some guy was like, hey, jacket expert here. They're not wearing the same jacket in the photos.
Yeah. Oh, hey, backpack expert, color expert here. This one's black. That one's beige.
Yeah. This jacket expert.
Like you just see, like it's just
Like you don't
These-
have to
it's
be
like-
a
it's
fucking
like,
genius.
the-
You don't
like-
have to be an inspector.
Like the spot the difference games when you're a
Yeah,
kid. It's
well,
like
where's
these are
Waldo?
fucking different people. Like, what is your deal? I said that NYPD was the 4th largest army in the world. I don't think that's entirely true. I think they're like the 19th largest army in the world. I'll pull the stats later. But
It's
like
still the 19th
the
largest army in
NYPD
the
has
world.
bases in like 17 countries, including Israel. Like the NYPD is like a massive global force. For some fucking reason.
Yeah,
I don't
the
really
New
understand
York
why.
Police
The New
Department-
York City Police Department is like a global force, and I don't understand why.
And they get taught by IDF soldiers.
Oh yeah, well every police agency in the country, or most police agencies. I know Phoenix Police give taught by IDF. Like
That's crazy
yeah.
to me, bro.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Most
to me.
police, like most big city police forces, go to Israel to train under IDF in like tactics.
Yeah, man. To learn from the best.
Yeah, love the best baby killers in the country
Yeah,
or in the
man.
world. Yeah, I don't know. We've been going for an hour, so I'm okay to stop here with these 2 stories and pick up next week with because I need to read more about South Korea and I need to read more about Hunter Biden.
Okay. Like, we can make this like the main part of the episode. then.
Because I would love to learn more about because I want to do a little bit of history on South Korea, because this is not the first time that there's been martial law and a coup in South Korea.
Yeah.
In the 80s, there was a fascist takeover and martial law in the 80s in South Korea. To say nothing of Ri was his name, the first president of South Korea.
Yeah, the military dictator.
The dictator
that was
who
installed
just
by US.
fucking murdered. Yeah, the U.S. backed dictator who just murdered communists left and right, like Pinochet level shit in South Korea that we are all just fine with because I don't know, because we're
They're
anti-communist,
allies.
because it was post World War II and it was the Cold War. I would like to get a little more historical on that one and dig into the kind of fascist and anti-communist history of South Korea. And I also want to get a little bit more on Yoon's politics, because I think he's a far right guy, because this whole thing was like, he claimed the martial law was because of like the opposition party was like becoming too friendly with North Korea, but it's just like the liberal.
Yeah,
they're like
they're
liberals.
neolibs.
They're like
neolibs, bro.
and like they have fucking nothing to do with North Korea, and it's just more scapegoatism and like whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't fully understand the whole thing, and I don't really want.
From what I understand is like the people, like the citizens, totally understood that it was a scapegoat.
Yeah.
because they knew they're not
They're like, what the
communists.
fuck?
Like,
Yeah,
right, fucking communists.
And like all of the politicians, even like from both sides or both parties or
Denied
whatever,
him the
were
martial
like,
law.
what? Yeah, but they were denying access to the state building or the Capitol
Yeah.
building to vote, because apparently like within whatever the South Korean constitution is, like to declare martial law, it has to be like the Congress can like veto it, override
yeah.
it, but they weren't allowed into the Capitol building to like vote on it. There was
So
like
they're just
the
staging a
South
coup.
Korean.
That's
Yeah,
what it's called, a coup.
yeah, he tried to stage a coup, but he was already the prime minister or the president. So I don't fully understand why he wanted to stage a coup. Did he just want to like?
It's kind of like what with Erdogan, what he did.
Right.
He didn't necessarily stage a coup, but what he did was he exacerbated what the executive powers of the president is.
Right.
And so he went from like, being a prime minister or a president, but then allowing himself to basically overrule anything Congress does in Turkey by just being like, no.
I just want Kim Jong Un to invade South Korea. Just take it over, dude. Like, just reunify.
There's way too much death from that.
Reunification of Korea, man. That's what I
A
want
lot
to
of
see.
people in Korea want reunification.
Yeah.
I think
I don't know what the data is on that. I want to see like a poll. How many South Koreans would prefer reunification?
They want, the majority, I believe, want reunification. Now, how that reunification looks like,
Yeah.
I think the majority don't want it to be under a communist, I guess, a regime.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably not, I would
they
imagine.
would want North Korea to become part of what they already live, their modern day experience.
But South Korea is also incredibly corrupt. It's like 5 companies own like
Samsung.
90% of
It's Samsung and Hyundai, Kia.
Yeah, but it's like, all of the politicians are like within those families. Apparently, I was
Hyundai and Kia is owned by one company. By the
yeah,
way.
I want to do more research on this, but like as I understand it, it's like more oligarchical than like Russia or America. Like South Korea is way more corrupt than even Russia. Like it's just like seriously, like it's like 7 guys that run that country, and it is just like an oligarchy, pure and simple, in like the simplest terms. I don't know. I don't want to talk out my ass too much about Korea.
Well, that's just we're basically just saying what we know. We'll do. Actually, would be a great next episode.
Yeah, I want to get a little deep on South Korea.
Yeah, let's do an episode on South Korea next episode.
Because we've been talking about doing an episode on North Korea for a while. This is a relevant segue to maybe like make this like a multi-part series of like, if we start South Korea on this one, that'll pivot into like a North Korea episode.
Would you like to do?
And my classes ended yesterday. I don't have grad school anymore until like mid-January. So and then I'm off for 2 weeks, starting after next week. So I'm like, I have some time to do some research and some digging.
Well, how about this? Next week, we'll do an episode, like a regular episode, but then we can also do a whole nother video on South Korea.
Okay, I'm down with that.
And we'll put it on our Patreon for a limited amount of time before we put it up on.
Yeah, sure, a little preview. Follow us on Patreon. It's free. There's just some kind of bonus and you get early access, behind the scenes and early access stuff. But it's free. So if you don't want to pay money, great, you don't have to. If you do want to pay money, you have the option to just kick us a few dollars. We need batteries to replace some of these lights, these LED lights.
It's expensive.
Batteries are kind of expensive, and we need a lot of them. Or we just might buy new LEDs. So shit like that. I also want to buy frames for the cool prints that you got.
Yeah.
I bought frames. They were too short or too small. I went to try to look for custom frames with like $100 a piece, and I just can't really afford that right now. So like shit like that. If you want to support us on Patreon, that would be awesome.
I say we just use those frames and just kind of show them in there.
I really don't want to. I already returned them for one thing, but I could reorder them. But I don't know. I really don't want to cut those.
Why don't we?
You know what I mean?
Well, why don't we just get a bigger frame and put it in there, and then
with
have
a
the
mat?
white background? White background. I think that'd be. Fun.
Yeah, it's called a mat when you have like the border. Yeah,
I think that'll be completely fine.
Yeah, I'll look into that. But yeah,
that's way.
They're
cheaper.
also really expensive for just frames of that size. So anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, follow us on Patreon. Follow us on social media, on Twitter, on TikTok, and on YouTube. Is that it?
Here, you're watching it.
You're watching
on
it
YouTube.
I blanked. What are
Press
we on
that
social media?
subscribe
It's
button.
Instagram. I fucking forgot Instagram. Did I say Snapchat?
Snapchat.
All right.
I didn't even know we had a Snapchat. Shit.
I'm a little drunk.
Maybe. Oh yeah. Oh, how are you? Huh?
I've been quietly over here slamming beers, so I'm a little drunk.
Well, maybe we make a Blue Sky soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a Blue Sky.
Make a Blue Sky for us.
Okay, I'll make a Blue Sky for us.
Yeah.
Best Rapper Alive 2. Follow me on Blue Sky, Best Rapper Alive. That's a true story. That's my actual handle on Blue Sky. Revolutionary Rhetoric, wherever you get your socials, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We're doing some cool things over on social media. Follow us on Patreon. Follow our Discord. All of the links will be in the description below. If you're watching this on YouTube, go on over to your podcast app of choice. Give us a subscription there.
If you're on the podcast portion of where the audio is, don't forget to leave us a review and how many stars you think we deserve. It doesn't matter, but it just helps push out our content because that's how the audio podcast atmosphere actually works.
True. And if you're listening to this on an audio app, we do have a YouTube where we film and you can watch us in our very cool studio. So if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend. And as always, we are a member of the Anti-Capitalist Podcast Network. So the link tree for the Anti-Cap Podcast Network will be down in the description as well. Give those guys a shout. There's a bunch of cool shows, a bunch of cool artists, a bunch of cool authors doing some journalists. There's a satire account. The Anti-Cap Pod Network is doing a bunch of cool stuff. It's a kind of a conglomerate, a community of a bunch of cool anti-capitalists kind of just trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff.
That's about it, my dog.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for following along. We appreciate you. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
Stay safe during those holidays.
Mm-hmm. Stay warm.
Stay warm. Unless it's warm where you're from, then get chilly.
Yeah, I guess Australia is pretty warm right now, right?
Yeah.
Summer in Australia.
Get chilly. Cool down.
Bye.
Bye.